Ooh.
What time is it?
It's time for Wicked Spursy.
Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, and the ever illustrious Brian from Rhode Island. Welcome. It's Sunday. We are a few hours past the end of today's game, here to discuss our midweek fixture in Europe and today's trade wreck of a performance at home versus Bournemouth. But before we get to that, Brian, I have one question that I'd like to pose for you publicly. What's the deal with Rhode Island? It's not an island. So, like, are you all just a bunch of liars? Or
it's neither a road nor an island.
Isn't it? The SNL Mike Myers, Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island. Talk amongst yourselves. So there are two stories, both of which may be historical or apocryphal, depending on who you read or listen to or care about. The first is that when
we're not talking about the Care About Cup.
Oh, what cup? So when the basically Leif Erikson explored this part of the world, and anyway, somehow the way that he described what we now call Aquidneck Island, where Newport, Rhode Island is, and Portsmouth and Middletown, the words used to describe it in his Old Norse was Rut Ishland or something to that effect. It had something to do with, I think, the color red. The other is that when early Europeans, kind of explorers came through here, one of them, I think Vasco da Gama or somebody like that, reminded them of the Isle of Rhodes and the bay surrounding, or the ocean surrounding the Isle of Rhodes in Greece. I think they're both kind of crap. No one really knows. Early maps call Aquidneck Island Rhode Island. Anyway, it's all up in the air. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to Wicked Spursy, the history podcast edition. But
who cares about what Christopher Columbus did? He's irrelevant, right? What do the indigenous people call it? That's what we should rename it to.
The Sweet Land is what the Narragansetts called it. So something to that effect. So I'm willing to call it the Sweet Land for sure.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. We've settled that. We've put to rest hundreds of years worth of, completely embarrassing ourselves by renaming something that the indigenous people had already named. So,
well, I mean, this doesn't touch much, indigenous culture, but my daughter did just figure out the other day how Vermont got its name. Because we were talking about colors in French, because she's going to the French American School of Rhode Island, and so it's vert. And then we're talking. I was like, "Do you know what the word for mountain is?" And I was like, "She's like mont," and I was like, "Vermont," and she's like, "I was like, can you imagine that becoming like Vermont?" And her eyes just got like huge. She was like, "What? Vermont, where Uncle Trey's house is that's she now just. I think her mind just got completely blown that Vermont, which she's heard for most of her life, is actually related to two French words. So, thank you for coming to Wicked Spursy, the linguistics podcast.
Join us next week when we discuss Montpellier.
Yeah, right.
I think one of my favorite things about that in particular is when the French club had a bunch of jerseys made with the incorrect spelling, and they just sent them all to Montpellier. So it's like, this is how it's spelled there. Just give it to them. Mike, if you can't tell, I am desperately avoiding talking about the games this week. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? How are you doing? Is there anything that I can pester your mind about to enlighten our listeners?
What's your relationship to linguistic history? Sorry.
Brian, you've known me for long enough that I have none. I took an etymology class in high school one time. I've been pretty good, man. Coming off the depression and the depressing podcast reaction pod on Thursday. That I'm I'm over it. You know, you get that initial depression, and then like you kind of, you know, you take a day, and then you kind of sit back, and things come into perspective, and it's like, yeah, I got other things I got to worry about. So yeah, work sucked all week, so that didn't change. However, today I did get to bring my son. So they're just venturing. He's playing U14 now, so they're venturing into 11v11. So they have a tournament in 2 weeks down in Massachusetts. Not 2 weeks. I'm sorry, 1 week from today, from yesterday. And they just got out onto Virtue Field today, and lo and behold, fucking blizzard.
That tracks.
Yeah, sounds like
Big
soccer
ass
in Vermont in
snowsquall
March.
comes along, and they're out there in 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and a bunch of 12-year-olds, you know, and they actually they played the premier team, the 2011 premier team, and ended up in a 0-0 tie. So like not bad for their first venture out there in 11v11 land for the little guys, and they looked good. They still have the, you know, the lack of muscle and to get those big crossing passes from the left and right backs. And Lucas is still finding his footing, trying to play hold up as a striker, you know, against kids who are actually 14 years old. You know, it's not. He's
Fair.
not. He's growing tall. He is now 5'3". So if
I
you
do
can
want
believe that.
to call.
He's almost taller than you,
attention-
Steve.
I do want to call attention, Mike. You said that you were sorry, and if there are any listeners that are, you know, potentially in the Canadian government and they're looking to adopt a state, you know, kind of take us all in so that we can escape the dumpster fire that we've got going on around us, I think we speak for all of us in saying please. Like, we would absolutely love that. I'm more than willing to, you know, sing whatever Canadian song you want me to sing. We'll bring our maple syrup. I mean, it sounds like a good deal to me. Just saying.
We could become the maple syrup powerhouse that the world needs.
The world doesn't know they need it, and I don't think they're ready for it. But
I don't
you know,
think they are either. Even
think
though our
you-
maple syrup is better.
I think your application would get, you know, vetoed by Nunavut, you know, the notoriously nasty politics way up there. So,
Oh, so they're having Nunavut.
ba-dum-bum-bum.
Well, I can't say that I had a particularly difficult work week. I don't have any linguistics to share, but I will let you all know that just a few hours ago, I had a very lovely time ice skating with my son and Nikki Winks and his daughter. So that was a good time. They had the, you know, milk crates going, and you know, I just.
It's interesting to me that you actually have the physical ability to ice skate with what is clearly AI.
I was gonna say,
it's wild.
was this like the holodeck or some shit? Like, how were you able to?
Hey, what, you guys don't have you know, a giant room where you can ask the computer to put on any kind of scenario for you? That doesn't exist. I don't know.
If I did, I wouldn't be here.
Well, I guess we can't put it off any longer. Gents, we had two very disappointing games this week. We had a loss midweek away to AZ, thanks to an own goal from Lucas Bergval. And then we managed to be gifted, frankly, a 2-2 draw today versus Bournemouth. Neither of those games were particularly inspiring. Let's start with the midweek fixture. Mike, I know you got to share your thoughts pretty much right away, but Brian, what did you make of that? And I'm gonna ask the leading question here, so I apologize. What do you make of that abomination? If you say it was good, you're canceled.
You know, I would like to think that I'm trying to carve out a little space on this podcast as someone who's a little bit like never say die, and I'm trying to take an optimistic take on it. That's just kind of how my brain works anyway. And I've tried to make rational points and sometimes emotional ones. But to quote the great North Country comedy series Letterkenny, this is fucking embarrassing. I was so mad. It was so limp, like just a limp, lifeless, like not worthy of us performance. And on the stage that everyone's saying that really fucking matters, right? This is really where we're gonna. All our eggs are kind of in this basket. I still say we're gonna win the Premier League, but that being mathematically unlikely. We at least have a statistically much better shot at the fucking Europa League. You would think that everything from like lineups to energy to creativity to fucking effort would be at a season high. And instead, it looked like like someone had like shot us full of fucking quaaludes or something. I don't even understand what happened. It was not the team that I know and love, and the team that I've really come to appreciate, like electric attacking football. Total expected goals, non-penalty expected goals of 1.6 in this. Tottenham's average for the season is somewhere like north of 4 or something insane like that. So I mean, like that is beyond. Oh my god, no, I'm sorry, 0.5 is the total. And
Yeah, that sounds a bit better.
I was looking at the wrong table. I was looking at Alkmaar, but even that is fucking embarrassing. I don't know if you guys saw on the Koi's subreddit that some Alkmaar fan posted like, "Hey, what the hell happened here, guys? We expected to get our asses kicked. Everybody's tired. We lost a bunch of first team players, and there's strife like apparently in the dressing room. All this other everyone was bracing for like the classic Men in Blazers not in the face meme." And they were like, "What the hell happened out there?" Basically, and everyone was like, "Oh, just shut the fuck up." The Koi subreddit did not want to hear that, but it was like I cannot tell you how mad I was. I was like literally throwing things in my living room watching that game. So
yeah, I can relate to that. At some point, I kind of just thought, hey, if I just punch myself in the dick a number of times, maybe I'll feel something. But yeah, that was not a particularly pleasant game. And what really drives me nuts is the post-match reactions that come out of games like that, where it's clear that the effort wasn't there, the players weren't doing well, and you get the same shit over and over again, where it's like, oh well, we let you down, we're gonna try better, blah blah blah. And then you come to a performance like today, where it's clear that they did not try better. It was the same sort of limp noodle approach. It was painful and embarrassing, and it just makes you wonder, like, do you guys believe this? Is this just your PR team telling you to try to calm things down? But and then you get comments like, we need the fans behind us, we need the fan support. It's like, well, then show us something that gets us excited. Nobody wants to pretend to support you when you're screwing around at the back and then pass the ball directly to the opposition striker for a one-on-one. Like that doesn't help us. That's not getting us on your side. That's frustrating. That's painful. And it's not everybody, and we can play the blame game all day, but I'm sick of the midweek, oh, we'll do better next time, and then you get to the weekend performance and it's just a shit. Mike, did you have any further thoughts? I know you did the instant reaction, but are there any further thoughts from the Europa League fixture that maybe came to you sometime after that you might want to share with the class?
No, I think you're pretty right on, but we do have to take a step back and understand that sometimes there are just shit performances, and that happens, right? I mean, the guys that we have coming back, I don't know. Obviously, we expected them to just jump right back in, but and be at a level that they're at. But these guys that are coming back have been out for a number of months, right? So, and we'll get into more of that as we discuss the cherries today. But we can't expect these guys to just jump right back in and not have some sort of kind of ring rust, as they would say. But these guys have been out long enough, so these games that they're playing now, especially in the league, are essentially preseason matches for them, right? It really is preseason matches for Romero, who's going to go out and get fucking injured in Argentina again. But that's beside the point. I have my own personal feelings about that, and I'm pretty pissed off. But
And you've been so shy about expressing them too.
I won't get into that right meow, because we can get into that once
Did you just
we
say
start
right
talking
now?
about the cherries. Right meow. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, it's one of those. It's just one of those matches that, like,
It's just one of those days.
we got punched in the mouth and just never kind of regrouped, and were able to come back and
You see,
do what we needed to do.
But the thing is, it's not so much that we're getting punched in the mouth, it's that we are like presenting it on a silver platter. Like, here it is, right here, hit me. I mean, like, think about it, right? The AZ match midweek, right? We scored. It was, just an own goal. It was on ourselves. But it's not that they were good. It's not that they were up for the fight themselves. It's just that we were worse. And then you come to the Bournemouth match. Bournemouth? Who cares? Anyway, we come to the Cherries match, and 30 seconds in, here you go. Have a free one-on-one with Vicario. 3 minutes later, here you go. Like, I get the perspective that, yeah, some of these guys have been out for months and they've got to work their way back into it and get their fitness back. But there's a part of me that's like, you're a professional player. You should know I'm wearing white. The opposition is not. I should not pass the ball directly to them. There should be something that tells me, hey, this is not the direction I should be playing the ball. I should be looking further up or for somebody in a more advanced position. But you don't get that. You get and oftentimes it's the perceived safe option. But when teams are kind of wise to how we're playing out the back and they're willing and able to pressure us, that's no longer the safe option. That becomes the dangerous option. And, we saw it today when the stadium starts cheering on, oh, Vicario, you booted the ball long. Yay, way to go. Like, the ironic applause. It's, when the fans can see it in the stadium, the opposition is drilled for it, and something has to change. And to me, and maybe this is an interesting way to pivot from Thursday to today. To me, it's been on Ange this last couple of times. There's the players absolutely at fault for putting in the lackluster performance, but also there's a part of it that's just straight up on Ange. What do you think, Brian?
You're exactly right. I mean, it is, and you're
Brian.
finally falling into the shit that I've been telling you, for months and months.
He does a great Brian impression, actually. But...
I don't know. I don't hear it. It's
no, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you're making the exact point that I've been making for months now, in that it's Ange's tactics, and it's Ange's choices of starting team. And sure, maybe right now I'm kind of just done giving Ange excuses at this point. His tactics are not going to work for this team in the Premier League. He may go somewhere else in the Premier League and it will work out just fine. It's not working for this team in the Premier League, and it's not for lack of players. But it was a good jump start, get us back on the right track, playing attacking football. But what happens with his style of football is it just leaves acres and acres and acres of open space when you're committing too many guys forward. You can sometimes committing 7 guys forward, right? Sometimes 8 or 9 guys forward. And when you're doing that and you've decided to stop inverting the wings, that leaves wide open spaces in the middle. And for my money, like, high risk, high reward is not the way you want to be playing right now, because you are struggling to keep pace in the league and you're struggling to stay in the added competitions. I'm done making excuses, because we put it on injuries and all that shit for a long time.
I don't know, man. I look at it as like this style here is basically like a particular concept in improvisational jazz, right? We're going to have some structure here, but then we're going to rely upon, individual kind of impresario performances to make decisions in response to stimuli, to the rhythm of the game, etc. So like, yes, like there are the macro tactics about like inverting the wings and how they play through, etc. But also like it leaves the space for individual like creativity and spark to kind of work within that system. So to me, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's like a particular style of wanting to play like live jazz in front of an audience. But the only reason I disagree with you, instructions aren't working. It's like, jazz, the improvisation stuff takes practice, and it takes, particularly like a group of musicians who like know each other to be able to play at like the highest levels. And, like we haven't had the same starting lineup 2 weeks in a row, I think since October, I want to say something like that. Does that sound right? I mean, you can't get into that like world-class kind of jazz rhythm thing and really transcend your performance unless you get the reps in. And like these people, that's why I actually like, by the way, I do think it's hilarious that for once, when it comes to Alkmaar, I'm pissed off and fed up. And it's the first time Mike is like Captain Empathy about the state of the players. But I don't know. I looked at it today as like, today I thought was better, a little more refined than Alkmaar is just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, I literally don't understand it. It's like that some combination there just is not working. I think like the Bentancur Bergvall, like that connection isn't great. I think Basuma Bergvall I like a little bit better. I mean, I really can't wait until we have a bunch of healthy center backs and Archie Gray can just go Archie Gray in his actual preferred position. I think that'll be a huge improvement given how good he is on the ball, how confident, and also like how creative he's been all season. So anyway, I thought today was better, and at least they had a little bit of fight in them. There were like long stretches where I thought we really like dominated the game, like most of the start of the second half in particular, and most of like the end of the first half, to be honest with you. I mean, like after, a little bit of a kind of, I was worried because, I was out at breakfast with my daughter and the first 60 seconds of the game, like I'm starting to get text messages from you guys. I was like, I better turn this on my phone, not go back and watch it so I can have like a live emotional response here. Which I did right up until the moment I spilled coffee on my phone because I was gesticulating angrily. But listen, Ange is a jazz orchestra conductor, and unfortunately we're seeing a lot of like out of practice improvisational work from this team.
Yeah, there's pieces of it that for me are just completely unacceptable at this point. Some of the players that I want to point fingers at right now, Bentancur for sure, for not being able to string a pass together. I am honestly shocked that Basuma got pulled at halftime versus Bentancur. I wonder what's going on there, if there's like a injury that hasn't quite been reported, or if he's just because he looked much more up for it, I felt, than Bentancur did.
I mean, he's rested, right? I mean,
the other one, Johnson, and I know people are going to point to his goal contributions and everything, which great, but like there's two things that bother me about him. First is his reaction time when the ball was played behind him, as so often it was, thanks to Bentancur, who could not get the ball to him at all. Or if the ball is intercepted, it takes him like a full second or two before he's moving back the other way to catch up with play. And it's not just him either, to be fair. There are a number of players out there who are very slow to react. And whether it's fatigue or just, not really paying all that much attention, it's emblematic with where so many of our problems go wrong. When our players are slow to react, whether it's offensively or defensively, we can't counter efficiently, we can't progress efficiently, and then we get caught out because we've got acres of space from, players moving up the field.
Just a thought. Do you think that we played tired so long that they almost got used to the style they had to play when they were just gassed every game?
I mean, that's very possible. There is like that that thought that we saw from James Madison on the bench the other day, and that it's the same thing every time, or something, like he said. It's the same play every time, and
Like the lip reading interpretations all around the internet have been very interesting. I don't think anything's super conclusive.
I think that, like, every single one of them, it's conclusive enough that I think every single one of them have validity and they're all very, very close in the end result. But
You see,
I think that they're sick and tired of the same shit all the time.
yeah,
And
but the thing for
and they're
me with
not being
them-
I think they're not being challenged by the tactics. They're not being challenged to take up a different style of football when they have to take up a different style of football.
Yeah, but the thing is, like with Madison and Son in particular, and I really want to highlight that free kick debacle midweek, where you had both of them in communication, and they clearly wanted to try something, but you are 20 yards outside of goal. This is clearly within both of their range to just take the shot, and they wanted to work some kind of funky training ground type routine.
And maybe
not the
that's what
time
they were
for it.
talking about, because they were talking to each other on the bench afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But
Maybe
the
that's
thing,
what they were
both
saying.
of
It's like
them-
it's the same fucking play every time,
both
and that's
of them are
probably
leaders.
communicated by the coach.
Right, but both of them are leaders. One of them should have said, "You know what?
Ryan
This is
Mason.
in my wheelhouse. Let me just take it. I've got to be confident. I've got to show the team that you've got to take it and run with it." And they didn't do that. They tried to be cute with it. They tried to do something a little bit different. And look, that's one of two things, right? Either they're lacking the self-confidence to actually put the ball on target, which is just an embarrassment from your leaders, or they want to show Ange that they're willing to work on some of his tactical thing, but they botched it so badly that they're doing nobody favors, because I'm pointing fingers at them. And if that's like something from Ange's playbook and they want to put the blame on him, again, not leadership. That's them trying to pass the buck. So
I mean,
either
devil's
way,
advocate, it
makes
could
look
it could
bad.
also be leadership in saying, "Hey, we're still going to do what Ange wants us to do." Right? Like we still believe in the project. And Ange wanted us to like have like a creative set play, or Ryan Mason did, or
Which,
whomever, and
fine,
we're still like
but
drinking the
execute
Kool-Aid
on
here.
it.
I know.
Well,
It
yeah.
was like maybe the biggest facepalm moment of the day in a facepalm fucking smorgasbord of a game. So
So getting back to Bournemouth, listen, I think today was absolutely better. Was absolutely better. Set
Except
pieces
for
were better.
Bentancur.
Set piece defense was better. And obviously that's not saying much, but I think that, yes, possession was there. I think it was, I think it was a loose kind of domination. Like Brian said, domination. Yeah. Statistically, domination, but it was kind of a loose domination. We didn't really have any real chances until Son was trying to chase a ball out of play. That was 1,000% going out of play, and Kepa did Kepa things. Kepa somehow forgot that he was playing for Bournemouth now, not playing for fucking Chelsea anymore, and just tackled Son for some fucking reason and took the 3 points away from his team. But I think that Bournemouth, like, Kirkes, like, that dude is super, super tidy. Like he plays smoothly on the ball. He's not flashy really in any way. He's just there, right? He's just a really good, solid player. I was super impressed by a number of their players. I really, really liked I like Sinistera. I thought he probably should have been starting, but it is what it is. I can't stand Evan Nilsson, and I don't know why. He angers me just by looking at him. But it's just like there was something missing from Spurs today, and that was a lack of creativity and lack of the ability to play the ball around the box and through the box. I saw the only person on the entire squad that I thought really gave it any effort. Was Madison when he came on. He tried a few times. The other was our new left winger Wilson. I think that kid is going to be really, really fun to watch, and
Yeah,
he
me
is
too.
going to be he's going to be eventually the Son replacement. I think. I also think this game was screaming out for Dane Scarlett, and I think you need a big physical presence in there against a defensive back four that was actually pretty solid with Hausen or Hoisin sauce. That kid is something else, and I think he's going to have a lot of suitors in the offseason. I think Tottenham would be smart to go out and kind of raid that team.
I mean, I think we already did last year, right? But I think
and poor Dami was like, that dude
Yeah.
was crushed after 60 minutes, man.
yeah, he's not back. It's great to see him, and you do forget, like, dude, we had just a couple examples of like, oh yeah, this guy is like really fucking good. I think as he gets back into like proper fitness levels, I think, assuming he stays healthy for the rest of the season, he really is going to be great. But I think like you actually like you draw like a good contrast here, Mike. Like these are this is going to be weird to say. These are not your daddy's cherries, right? Like Bournemouth are actually like a really they're not just a bunch of scrappy, like semi-amateurs anymore. Like this is like a good, proper, like solid team. Like they deserve to be where they are. It's not,
they are also a bit chaotic in the press. Like
yeah, of course. But in general, I mean, it used to be, we should look at this and like, this is like a relegation bubble team, and they're just not that anymore. They're really good. They have like a bunch of good players. They're well coached. They roughly do. I mean, they've gotten lucky too. But I mean, I think they're probably a couple positions higher than they probably deserve to be. But like, that's a good team. From everything I knew going into Alkmaar, that is like that's like a hey y'all, we're just happy to be here kind of team. We've got like a lot of internal strife and a lot of injuries, and this is kind of we kind of can't believe that we've made it this far either. So thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Like they're just not. We should have been able to steamroll Alkmaar like 1,000 times out of 1,000, and we showed up like just limp. It was just pathetic. Today, I will at least say we had a lot more energy, and someone who had a lot of energy, so much that I'm like, please don't blow a hamstring, was Mickey. I was so happy to see him back. Like he had a bunch of good plays. You can tell he's like a little rusty too.
Yeah, I mean, he had some shockingly bad defensive spots.
Yeah. But and even some like one of the things I've always loved about him is like how
great.
As fast as he is, his passing is really good too. And I thought that looked a little rusty today as well.
Yeah, and it will be.
But still, you got those little flashes of like, oh, this is why we love this guy. But anyway,
1,000%, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I have to point to, again, the management at this point. I am 100% convinced that if we bow out of Europe on Thursday, that Ange is gone on Friday. That is my current prediction. Everything kind of, because you got to think about it, right? When we bounced out of both cups, it was, well, we are still in Europe. We still have a very good shot at some silverware, but if we can't progress past that Alkmaar team, and we are coming from behind, which it's not something that we are not used to this season. We've put ourselves in that situation a number of times. If we can't do it, the league position isn't flattering. He's gone. I guarantee we'll probably see Mason for the rest of the season at that point. And then it'll be, hey, let's think about who we're going to try to bring in next. But
Iriola,
that wouldn't be a bad shout. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of concern, and it's all going to come down to the players. Are the players going to show up for him on Thursday and do what they need to do at home to get a result to progress, or are we going to get another lackluster performance that sees us crash out of a competition where we were favorites to win it at the beginning of the season? And then what do we?
You're favored to win it before Thursday, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot to come. But before we spend too much time talking about what we're coming up against on Thursday, we do want to ask, hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Steve, I love it when you ask that question. I have a fun beer today.
Is it more fun than garage beer?
I've just been drinking garage beer. I had a nice foam brewing built to spill. And when I opened my refrigerator
hold on,
to
let's be
grab
careful.
it,
That's built to spill. Okay, that's not to be confused with any works that are similar to that. We're
yes.
not trying to get ACDC on us again.
Holy shit. So for those of you that don't know, I use music for my my reaction pod, and we got a little bit in trouble for using AC/DC's music, to which from Spotify, who they're apparently the fucking the podcast police now. It's funny because like Five Statements, Flav always uses like copyrighted music. I never see that get yanked. So they almost yanked it, or they may have actually yanked it because our numbers are a little bit lower. But not that I really pay attention. But today for beer, I have a fun beer. I have a German beer, directly from Germany, from the Black Forest of Germany, and it is called it's a Rothaus a Pils, and it's from Badische Staatsbrauerei Rathaus AG. It's a product of Germany. Gesundheit. It is a product of Germany. It is a German Pils, Black Hill Pils. These beers are generally German Pils. It's going to be crisp, clean. It's probably going to be golden yellow. They will usually have like they distinguish themselves by using Tettnang and Hallertau hops. Who like Tettnang hops are generally will have a spicy kind of a spicy finish. That those are the flavoring hops, if you will. And Hallertau, they're both like. Those are both the basic German hops that you'll find in a lot of their beers. This beer comes in at 5.3%. So let's see. Oh, holy shit! All right, this is one of those beers where, like, when you're a kid and your dad is drinking beer, and he pops open a beer. And you smell that it smells like the way a beer is supposed to smell. I love German beers. Can't wait to go there someday. I'm going to use my German beer mug here.
Pour this. Stein.
It's kind of a Stein, but it's not really. It looks good and it smells. It smells like a fucking beer, man. And I'm going to take a picture of this real quick because I have not been doing my due diligence lately for the kids in Wicked Spursy land.
Let's see. Our notes are quite entertaining, if I do say so myself.
All right. Have you been reading the notes on the...
I'm all about the spreadsheet, man. The spreadsheet's where it's at.
The thought occurs we should actually publish the spreadsheet.
You can okay. So German beers are generally made with flaked oat or barley, mostly barley. That's where they're going to get their very, very heavy malts from. I think this beer's probably going to be a middle of the road. I don't know. Maybe I'll just really, really like it, but just by the smell, oof, it smells really good.
Do the Germans know what they're doing?
Yeah, they're the fucking beer people, dude. They have laws around their beer. Like actual laws. Like, we have like the maple syrup purity laws. They have German beer purity laws, beer purity laws. But we have laws around in Vermont around our maple syrup, which have actually
Yeah, you hear that, New Hampshire?
stopped McDonald's before from using Vermont maple syrup in their advertising because it wasn't Vermont maple syrup. Anyway,
If you just as an aside, anybody who votes for me, I will on day one sign an executive order to put some beer laws in place. Because apparently you can just do whatever you want and who cares? Doesn't matter. I'll sign so many executive orders, you won't even know what's going on. Just absolutely absurd ones. Executive order number 3: Wicked Spursy is the official podcast of the United States. Suck it. Does it hold up in court? Who cares? Somebody else can figure that out. Anyway,
I have another
you know,
podcast that nearly won podcast award in Vermont. So we came in second place.
Executive order number 4: Wicked Spursy always comes before United in Green.
So this beer is really good. It is heavy on the malt. It is spicy like it should be. It's kind of a crisp character. It's just like it's a middle of the road German beer. It's what you expect out of a German beer. I don't know what this beer does to distinguish itself from other German pilsners or lagers, but I like it. I will drink another one probably right after we're done here, probably with dinner. I think it's a really good beer to have with steak and chicken, like
I'm having steak tonight.
there you go. There you go. You're going to force steak on your child? I hope he likes it.
No, he's actually requested eggs as his protein.
Fair enough.
Steak and eggs.
Steak and eggs. Make him do steak and eggs. Double protein. Lucas does double protein now, and you should see this kid.
Yeah,
I've never seen a kid who eats so many snacks and he's just completely ripped. But anyway, this beer for me, like I said, I don't know what it does to distinguish itself from other German beers. It's a really good beer. And if we're going on the Mike scale, you guys
Ryan,
have to
get your
remember.
Wait. Sorry. I thought you were about to give us a number. Go ahead, please.
I'm ready to give a number. If
Oh,
Steven
okay.
is ready.
I'm ready. Here we go. Brian's putting his guess in.
Oop.
And
Hold on.
The horses, they're being held.
Update the spreadsheet.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Ooh, that tells me that he said something like 4.2, but that's not where we're going. I'm giving this straight up, dude. Again, I really like it. It's spicy. I love the spiciness on the end. Like it's made with rye almost, but 3.8.
Oh, damn
damn it.
It's so close.
I'm getting demolished in this these days.
It's funny because
I gave you way more
actually
credit
did
last week than maybe you deserve.
He put
Dude.
4.2. And then
Yeah,
he
they'll
said-
literally put 4.2, and so you're like, sounds like he's going in like a 4.2 direction, but that's not the direction we're going in.
And I'm still like, yeah, I got this in the bag. And then I went 3.7.
Yeah, if we publish the video for this podcast ever, you'll see Steve and me both go. Mm.
Actually, we're live right now, just so you know.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but
You got to check your blue sky a little
I
more,
don't even
Brian.
think my mom.
my
watches
bad.
this. My mom's probably, if she watched this, she'd be texting me like, "You're a huge disappointment." I'd say, "Well, at least I didn't vote for Trump."
So yeah. Anyway, 3.7.
And
What did I
about a
say? No,
player?
3.8. Sorry,
Hey, if you want to say 3.7, I'll take 3.7.
3.8.
Damn it! All right, who's the player? Who do we got?
Who's the player?
Who's that player? He's a 3.8
Got a 3.8 player.
who doesn't distinguish himself from other 3.8 players.
Brennan Johnson is probably the guy.
There we go.
Oof.
Have we used him yet? No, we haven't used Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson, the tap-in merchant.
That used to be Harry Kane's job. Oh, I said it. God damn it.
Right. Awesome. So this has been Hey Mike. That was Rothaus Tannin Zopfel Black Forest Pills. Did I get that?
Yeah. ZA with an umlaut.
Ich bin ein Bier. Did I get that
You are
right?
a beer. Okay.
Ah, damn it. I've embarrassed the United States again.
Yeah. Get in line.
Get in line. So before we turn this into
I'm gonna pop another one of those.
The official politics pod of New
You already finished that one?
Let's look ahead. So as we've mentioned, we've got another match versus Alkmaar. This one at home, and this one's for all the marbles.
Every one of them.
Absolutely need to not just win this, win it convincingly, and by more than one goal. And then following that, we are away for a derby versus Fulham. Fulham on Sunday, Alkmaar on Thursday. How are we feeling about either of those matches? I'll let you guys pick. I'm not going to boss you around.
I'll let Brian go.
I think we're going to turn it around. I was trying to think of something clever, diplomatic, maybe even historical to say, but I know I've already quoted Churchill on this podcast way too many times, so I'll skip that one. And I'll just say, honestly, I think there are pieces in these lineups that we have seen recently that are really working. And my hope for these two matches is that we have a complete combination of pieces that work, most notably in midfield. But I really hope that I just looked to see if there was an idiom in Dutch for all the marbles. And it turns out there's not. Allen Zibets or something like that is like apparently as close as the Dutch get. But anyway, regardless, like, everybody has to come to play. It's at home. You're going to be in front of your own fans against the slightly depleted team that probably shouldn't be there in the first place. Everybody on Tottenham Hotspur has to come to play. And I think if we get the lineup right, like the right combination of pieces based on what we've seen lately, and for one, I actually really do still have faith in Ange. I don't think we should fire him on Friday if we lose, God forbid. But I think that there are probably two rotationable like lineups in there that can really play with just about anybody. We just don't know which ones they are. And I think that we might find them out between now and Thursday, and then between Thursday and what? Is it Sunday again against Fulham next week? Yep. Which by the way, Ange, if I know you're a listener, my birthday is next Saturday, so all I really want for my birthday this year, if I got no presents other than this, I would be totally fine, is 2 fucking wins from Tottenham Hotspur this week. That would be really goddamn great. But I honestly, I am optimistic. I really think that we saw enough, particularly today. I think that there were just enough flashes of kind of creativity and spark, and players coming back and people kind of honing the rust off of it. I think there's reasonable reason for optimism. And I'm gonna stay in my lane on that. I think there is reason for optimism. I think we can do this. So I will be watching with anxious and positive anticipation on Thursday and Sunday.
Mike, before you contribute your thoughts to this, I did. Brian, you inspired me. I looked up some Dutch idioms just for the fun of it, and there are some absolutely loopy ones. Well,
I'll be going there next year with Lucas for his training at Ajax. So
we've got Het loopt in de soup, which is it walks in the soup, which means it was a complete failure. We've got Het is pikdonker buiten, which is it's dick black outside. That is a fun one. It's
like Wicked Spursy barbecue at like 11 p.m. when Brian and I are drinking an entire bottle of whiskey by the
Yeah.
fire.
There's Hilas Pindakaas, which is unfortunately peanut butter, which might be my favorite. Which is supposed
We
to be
might use that next week.
That's too bad.
Unfortunately, peanut butter.
Unfortunately, peanut butter. What was the other one? Het zal me verst zien. It shall me a sausage be.
I like how we've bookended this podcast with like random linguistic factoids here. This is really for
How
our
do I say-
dozens and dozens of live stream viewers. I hope you not only learn something about Tottenham Hotspur, but about world culture and languages and how it all ties us together.
There's Uverkochish and
He's still going.
Konfischistraten. Talk about little cows.
All right.
I love the Dutch. I'm just gonna say it. Like, good for them. They're a great people.
With their windmills and their wooden shoes. Their fun flowers.
Stoopwaffles.
Their
Is that
stroopwafels.
Belgian?
That is Belgian. Yeah. Isn't it? Who fucking knows?
Who cares? It's all good.
It is all good.
I
So,
like the Belgians too. The chocolates, Belgian chocolates, really good.
where are we?
Going Dutch, that's my favorite way to to date, right? Let's split it, right? Isn't that it?
Yeah, that's what
Anyway.
that means. Yes. So anyway, Tottenham Hotspur on the 16th.
What's the
Brian's
etymology
birthday
behind
is the 15th. My daughter's is the 12th. So my daughter will be turning 16 years old.
Is that a
Um,
driver's license age in this state or no?
It is, but she doesn't get her driver's license till like June.
June, huh?
Yeah, she could have it probably by April, but we decided not to pay for it, and we were offered driver's ed through the school, so she's gonna have to wait a couple of months. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So we got Fulham coming up. We don't have to go over AZ again.
AZ. This is
I don't have
America
to.
still.
I don't have to falsely proclaim that their Turkish side again. But I can say that so we have Fulham. They're not far ahead of us, and well, they're probably 10 points ahead of us. They're sitting 10th right now. Spurs are sitting 13th. Their goal differential is like a +3, and our goal differential is like we talked about last week, which is statistical anomalies, right? With goal scoring. But I think that Spurs have a really good opportunity to take 3 points in the league here from them. We're going to be without Decky again, probably. Decky will probably be gone till at least after the international break, where we will also lose Christian Romero to injury in game one of his international break. I all things being equal, Fulham and Tottenham are pretty close in like average goals scored. Spurs are, it's the same. I think it's similar on both ends. So I mean, we're right there with them. They seem to be like they have a renewed Alex Iwobi, who's having a brilliant season. He's fun to watch, even though he is still a piece of shit from Chelsea. So like my prediction, the fact that we're playing at Craven Cottage, that place is historically a tough place to play, and it's got a scary fucking name. I think a draw is probably fair here. I'd like more from it, but
I want more.
we got our wish today when the fucking the doomed Gooners drew with Embarrassment FC. So I think that obviously Spurs attacking ability should never be underestimated, but I think if we get caught out in the midfield again and we allow acres of space, we're going to have problems. I just hope that by then we have some guys who have knocked some rust off and and we get a little more out of Mickey Van de Ven and Christian Romero, and maybe they form up that nice partnership that they've had for the past couple of seasons, and play back into it, because I think Mickey did have some shocking defensive one-on-ones. He looked good going forward. Romero had a hard time with his decision making, but like, we need those guys to be able to come back and be in there. Because guys like Kevin Danso needs a fucking break. He's played 90 since he walked in, right? He needs a fucking break. I think Kevin Danso is going to be integral to our defensive positioning through the rest of the season. And should Ange stick around and for at least the rest of the season, I think maybe one way or another he's probably gone anyway. And we have to start thinking about the next coach. I think that we need to make sure that we are solid in the back before we can try and convince another coach to come, because any attacking style coach, you're going to need to make sure that you have a solid back four, solid back three, however that coach wants to play it, a solid back five, if you will. Because lots of times, we'll find ourselves in almost a back three or a back five, right? I think that we make it through the next round with AZ. I think we take a 2-0 win into that game. They have too many injuries.
Optimism.
They have
That's
too many
nice.
injuries, and Spurs are they rested the proper players, so you pretty much can pick the lineup for next week or for Thursday. I think you see Matty Tell come back. I think we might get a Mikey Moore appearance again, which I'd love to see. I think Bergvall, that kid continues to impress, and he was probably the biggest creative attacking presence in the field today when he came on. The guys that sat initially for today's game are they going to be the guys that are playing, right? Destiny.
Can I say like one very quick point? You're talking about like the solidity of the back four, dude. Udogie on left back / left wing and Jed on right back / right wing. I am all in on that combo. If we can figure out, get people to stay. A rotation of.
I like Jed on the left, but that's fine. Yeah.
No, but that's where he wants that's his natural position, right? Is on the right. So let Jed cook, dude. But those two bombing down the wings, being aggressive, finding space. When they did that swap today, you could feel the momentum change, which is exactly what we need. We need I made a joke about how Danny Rose was sitting there with a pin cushion, but the thing I always said about Danny Rose,
like a voodoo doll.
Yeah, like where momentum goes to die. He must have dropped the pin cushion because Udogie and Spence bombing up the sides today. That was like, yes, this is what we need. This is the kind of energy and incisiveness and aggression through space that Bergvall was also very good for across the board. But and I will say, I watched most of the Manchester United game, hoping that something terrible happens to Arsenal players. They literally have my boy Christian Eriksen, it's Bruno Fernandes, and it's Garnacho are the only people that do anything on that team. Everyone else stands around and watches and occasionally jogs somewhere. So at least we're not Manchester United. We at least have that going for us. Also, I like our manager a lot better than the sourest Portuguese man in the history of time. So
that's fair. And you know what else? Just to compound onto that, but not really. I did look up for you, Brian, in particular, the etymology of etymology.
Oh.
Yeah, so for those of you who like to learn something, get this, right? Etymology, late Middle English from Old French etymology, via Latin from Greek etymologia, from etymologos, student of etymology, from etymon, neuter singular of etymos, which is true. So there you have it. You learned something.
Hot dog.
I'm not quite sure what you learned by the end of it, but all of this, just looking at it, I'm sure I butchered a lot of the pronunciations, but hey, you know what? It's all Greek to me.
Jesus, that was a long played joke right there.
Oof.
Holy shit!
God damn. Oh wow.
I had to go for it. I saw my opening. I have no regrets. But
Not
anyway,
one
that
not
brings
one
us,
letter.
That brings us to the end of the show, guys. So why don't we move on to some closing thoughts? Mike, do you want to get us kick-started, or would you like me to do it? No, you don't want me to do it.
Yeah,
We want to listen to you.
Yeah, I'll get us kickstarted. I'm going to say we are the Wicked Spursy podcast. Do some mopping up, as they say. We are the Wicked Spursy podcast. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, including still Spotify, until I ruin it by doing another reaction pod maybe next week, and using some other copyrighted music. You can find us on Blue Sky. You can find us on Instagram. And you can find Steve and Brian themselves on Blue Sky as well. You can go in if you listen to their takes and you're like, fuck these guys, you can go on and find them on their and I'll post their Blue Sky handles too, so that you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you wanna at me, you can just use the Wicked Spursy, because that's basically my Blue Sky account. I don't have a
Yeah, he
personal
uses
one
it
yet.
for hot takes on audio and video quality media as well.
Listen,
a
Riverside
lively
keeps us-
a lively Blu-ray discussion on Blue Sky. So anyway.
that's actually very, very true. I didn't know Blu-ray actually or DVD still existed, but it does. Other than that, yeah, next week we may be coming at you on Monday, depending on what time I get home on Sunday. My son has an 8 a.m. match, and if in this tournament we're playing in, and if fortune smiles upon his club, they will have some playoff matches. But it's going to be tough. They're playing against some pretty big professional youth academies. So, and they're just a little academy from Vermont. So
Let's go, Lucas.
they are highly ranked in the country, which is interesting to me. But
He's seriously
these kids play
prioritizing
hard.
his son over this podcast. What kind of? Anyway,
So there's that. I don't have any other final thoughts other than like go Firepost 2012s in the NESC tournament, and I'm just excited to see what happens with these kids as they venture into these 12-year-olds who venture into the territory of U14. It's going to be fun.
if you say so, I'll have to take your word for it. Brian, what about you? What kind of closing thoughts do you have for us today?
Well, my 4-year-old does have soccer club tomorrow. It's her French American School of Rhode Island, so that's very much like competitive youth academy soccer. It's very comfortable. But
She'll be playing for the Mets women anytime.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick, before actual final thoughts, just a quick shout out to my buddy Savage, who is in Wardsboro, Vermont, who told him I was going to be on the pod with some Vermonters, and he was amped to listen. So shout out to Savage. Also shout out to my sister, who had a birthday yesterday. So we're leaving right now to go to her celebration of life. She's quite alive, by the way. Just just her birthday.
Celebration of her birth and
yeah, of her surviving yet another year, despite her best efforts. But
guess our invitation got lost in the mail, Mike.
Yeah, I'll send pictures. Anyway, yeah, I continue to be optimistic. I'm still in on Edgeball. I was really pissed off about Wednesday, and by the way, I quoted it before. It was not. It was actually the Brighton game that we lost 3-2. We were up 2-0 and then ended up losing 3-2. That one and Alkmaar really are going to be burned into the Spurs part of my brain as maybe my two least favorite matches that I've seen this team play in a very long time, and they're definitely going to be the two low points of the season for me. So I'm hopeful that they are going to be followed this week by two high points. We get a win to move on in the Europa League, and a win to potentially rise up a bit in the Premier League. So staying optimistic. I still have a bet open that we're going to win the league. I just didn't tell you which league. I didn't specify which one. So anyway, but Thanks as always for having me, guys. You're the best. That's my actual final thought. You two kick ass. So cheers.
You're the best around.
Okay. All right. You just went down a notch for that attempt right there, but that's fine.
You know what? Not everybody appreciates a nice Karate Kid style montage, but
everybody appreciates it. I think it's mostly your falsetto, but you know, you have many strengths, Steve. I'm not sure falsetto is going to be on the list immediately. But.
Ain't that the truth?
Speaking of falsetto, I did get to have coffee sitting next to one of my music heroes today, Mike Gordon from Fish. I went into Vivid Coffee while Lucas was practicing because I didn't want to sit out there in the fucking cold. So I went down to Vivid Coffee and I sat there and had my coffee and did some busy work for the union. And Mike Gordon was sitting next to me. And Mike, I hope you get over your cold. He's like one of my Fitch is like my music heroes, right?
Awesome.
And we get to see these people like in real life, actually just having coffee and doing some work.
You were fishing for compliments.
All right,
man. That's the new spreadsheet. We're just going to document all of Steve's puns from these episodes. That's the new project. There we go. I'm gonna use the clip marker in our recording package here. Every time Steve does it, I'm gonna mark a clip right there. Boom.
You should do that. That would be funny.
I am gonna do that.
Hey, it's a great idea. And you know what? I'm not even gonna carp on it. So anyway, my closing thoughts for us. It is March. It is still winter, but you know what? There are brighter days ahead. There are sunnier days ahead. But on a day like today, I'm going to keep it simple. Daylight savings is stupid. That is my closing thought.
I woke up at 9 a.m.
You're one of those guys, huh?
Why does it exist? It's pointless. It is a dumb thing that we do.
Be careful what you wish for.
I'm not wishing for anything. I'm just pointing out that it is a stupid thing. If I were to wish for something, I've got a long list of things to wish for before changing daylight savings. I'm pretty sure the top of my list would get me flagged in some kind of agency database, so I'm going to keep that to myself.
Yeah,
anyway.
we'll just put it under the general rubric of let's defend American democracy first, then we can quibble about things like daylight savings. I think that's
absolutely.
Let's frame it that way.
That was very well said.
Thank you.
What a revolutionary idea. So let's move on to our end of the pod sign-offs, and I'm very excited because Brian actually has one.
I have one now.
Yeah, and we can go. Brian, what do you have to say for us?
We're gonna win the league, baby.
And I would say, coins.
And
Don't be an asshole. And of course, Mike, you've got.
Guys, I just want you to go out there, be safe, and as always, protect your mental health.
And
still, Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.
We love you, Dave.
Alrighty. That was actually a really good one, and it was actually really fun. And of course, Brian's 34%. Oh, you are